some people say nature is where they feel safest? Like the forest is their refuge from everything overwhelming? That's why I decided to go camping last summer. I thought it would help clear my head after everything I'd been through. My girlfriend of 3 years had just broken up with me. Well, I say broken up, but really it was more like she ghosted me, moved out of our apartment while I was at work, and left a post-it note on the fridge that said, "Sorry, I can't do this anymore." No explanation, no closure. I spent weeks spiraling, checking her social media, texting her late at night, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. Eventually, I realized I couldn't keep torturing myself. I needed to get away from the city, from my apartment, from the places that reminded me of her. I'd never been much of an outdoorsy person, but a friend of mine had told me about this remote camping spot in the mountains. No cell service, no crowds, he said. Perfect place to clear your head. So, I borrowed some gear, threw it in the trunk of my car, and drove out there one Friday afternoon. The directions led me to a narrow dirt road that twisted up into the hills. I didn't see another car the whole way, which was exactly what I wanted. When I finally arrived, the spot was perfect. A small clearing surrounded by tall pine trees with a creek nearby that filled the air with the sound of running water. It was quiet, so quiet that I could hear the wind rustling through the branches. I set up my tent, unpacked my supplies, and spent the rest of the afternoon exploring. The forest felt alive in a way I wasn't used to. Every step I took, the ground crunched beneath me, and birds fluttered in the canopy above. There were no trails, just endless trees stretching in every direction. I even found a small hill with a breathtaking view of the valley below. For the first time in weeks, I felt okay. But as the sun began to set, the mood shifted. The air grew colder, and the forest seemed quieter somehow. I hadn't noticed how much I relied on the sounds of birds and insects until they were gone. Now, there was just the wind, and even that sounded different, like it was carrying whispers. I brushed it off. I'd read somewhere that the forest changes at night. Animals settle down and your senses can play tricks on you. I lit a fire, cooked some instant noodles, and tried to relax. The stars were out in full force, more than I'd ever seen in the city. For a while, I managed to forget about the breakup, about my job, about everything. But around midnight, as the fire died down to embers, I started hearing noises. At first, it was just the occasional snap of a twig, normal forest sounds, I told myself. But then it became more rhythmic, like someone, or something, was walking in circles just outside the light of the fire. I grabbed my flashlight and swept it across the trees. The beam illuminated trunks and branches, but nothing moved. Still, the feeling didn't go away, that creeping sensation that I was being watched. I tried to laugh it off, even talk to myself out loud. "You're being ridiculous. There's no one out here. It's just animals." But then I saw it. A face. It was peeking out from behind a tree about 20 feet away, just on the edge of the firelight. Pale and motionless, it almost didn't look real. The features were human, eyes, a nose, a mouth, but something about it was off. The skin was too smooth, the eyes too wide, the mouth stretched into a grin that didn't belong on any living person. I froze, my flashlight shaking in my hand. "Hello?" I called out, my voice cracking. The face didn't respond. It didn't move at all. I stepped closer to the fire, hoping its light would keep whatever this was at bay. My mind raced with explanations. Maybe it was some kind of prank, or a hunter, or even just a trick of the shadows. But then it moved, not like a person stepping out from behind a tree. It shifted. One moment it was there, the next it was closer, and then closer still, without making a sound. I stumbled backward, tripping over my backpack. When I looked up, the face was gone. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my tent, clutching a knife, flinching at every sound. The rhythmic footsteps came and went, circling my campsite like a predator stalking its prey. At dawn, I packed up in a frenzy. I didn't bother with breakfast, or even folding the tent properly. I just shoved everything into the car and took off. As I drove back down the dirt road, I glanced in the rearview mirror. That's when I saw it again. The face watching me from the tree line. It didn't chase me, didn't try to stop me. It just watched, grinning that impossible grin. I don't go camping anymore. And even now, months later, I can't shake the feeling that it followed me home. Sometimes, late at night, I catch a glimpse of something in the corner of my eye. A pale face just outside the window, disappearing the moment I turn my head.